Hey, what's up, everybody on Facebook? Happy July 6th or 7th. Tristan, what day is it? It's the 7th. All right. So here in Jackson Hole doing a Facebook Live, got a special guest. But before I jump into that, I want to just say to everybody out there, first of all, thank you for being in my community. If you're watching this video with me live or you're watching it later out during the week, I just want to say to you, when I look at the numbers right now in real estate, and you've heard me share this before, there is a massive degree of separation, disparity, whatever you want to call it, between the top half of the agents in the US and probably indicative around the world versus the bottom half. The bottom half today, per RDS, 9% of all commission income has been paid out to the bottom 50% of real estate professionals in the US. Think about that for my friend that's watching here, Greg. And the top 50% of the agents are controlling 91% of the commission. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons why, but if you're watching this video with me live or later on in the future, the thing that I want to say to you, what I know separates those two beyond years of experience, mindset, yada, yada, yada. You know what it is? I interview all these amazing people. I'll give you just one word I want you to think about as you reflect on the first 6 months of this year and you think about the next 6 months and how you want to finish. And that's the word courage. Courage. The people that have courage still experience the same fear, anxiety, and worry. Oh my God, if I make this call, what if it goes wrong? What if I screw this thing up? What if I mess up this deal? What if I write the offer the wrong way? What if I choose to write the right or wrong partner? They do it anyway. Everybody experiences the fear. The difference is people have the courage to go out and do what it takes. I just interviewed this young gal, Bethany, longtime client, and 2.5 years in the business, 164 transactions in her first 2.5 years. And when I asked her, what was the degree of separation? She said, look, I just knew I had to run it like a business and I had to be courageous. I had to work through my fears. I had to work through all the anxiety. I had to do all the things that everybody has to do. And I said, Bethany, you're making the assumption that everybody does that. It's courage. So I'm going to go into a quick interview because I've got a massively exciting public announcement. You probably read about it if you're paying attention to whether it's Inman or Housing Wire, any one of the major media outlets. But before I jump into that, I just want to remind you, what do you need to be more courageous about? What's the fear that's stopping you, whether it's from shooting video, making phone calls, following up with your clients, talking to your own past customers, doing an open house that you haven't done maybe in 14 or 15 months? Think about it. And I would just challenge you to be a little more courageous for the second half of the year and then watch the results. I promise you, you will experience a massive breakthrough. Now, speaking of breakthroughs, I got a special guest with me today. Over the last few days, I'm sure you've, again, as I mentioned, you've seen a lot of the press, a lot of the PR. A brand new company has started with this aim to say, we want to be the PayPal of the mortgage industry, founded by my longtime friend, Greg Schwartz, one of the original Zillow, I almost said Zillow, that's great, like Trulia, Zillow together, Zillow Mafia leaders. And I just love that, Zillow Mafia. I saw that headline and I was like, yes. So Greg Schwartz, welcome, man. Thanks for being with me on Facebook.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Mafia, huh? I don't know.
You saw the same article and I was like, there's Greg, there's Spence, right? There's Nick. And I'm like, Zillow Mafia, which is kind of a PayPal Mafia thing. Now, Greg, I know immediately some people will hear Zillow and they have a negative connotation. Oh my God, what does that mean? So give people some context. You were there for a long time. When did you leave? And then let's talk about Tomo.
Yeah, I left about 1.5 years ago, pre this thing that some of you may have noticed, the pandemic, because I had been with many of you over the last 13 years, traveling 50 weeks a year, pardon me. And I wanted to ski. And so we have a little cabin, or had a little cabin up in Canada in Whistler. You know this, we've talked lots about this. I was going to go and ski out the elusive 100-day ski season. And of course, life is about plans being dashed and then recovering from those plans quickly, which is what you're just talking about, taking risk. And so I made it 14 days in our ski season and COVID hit and they closed the mountain. I was trapped in my basement dreaming about what to fix next. And here we are, 1.5 years later.
It's so interesting that you say what to fix next. And that's a question that everybody should write down. One of my heroes who I wish, Greg, you could have met, his name was Mike Vance. And he was basically Walt Disney's right-hand man. He launched Orlando. He created so many of the magical things that we know from the past of Disney. After Walt passed, he left and worked for this young kid as a consultant for a startup because a guy named Mike Markkula wrote a check for a company called Apple and said, this kid wants to be the Steve Jobs of the tech world. And he spent a lot of time with Steve pretty much throughout both of their entire lives, but had a massive impact on him early on. And the question was always like, what do we want to fix? Right? What do we want to fix? So today, my friends, Greg is committed with his team to fix the mortgage industry. And for all my clients watching, we are proud that we announced a partnership with Tomo, which means the generated clients that they are generating are going to Tom Ferry coaching members. So we'll get into like the how and the details of what you have to do, but I'm super pumped about that. But Greg, maybe that's a little too premature. You said, what do I want to fix next? So for the person that maybe hasn't read some of the press releases, how would you explain Tomo? Like, are you a mortgage company? Are you a referral company? What is this company about?
Yeah, mortgage, referral, brokerage, title,
Right.
all these things are tags. When I think about fixing things, I think of being of service or of value. And if you're of service and you do it in an important category, you can be very, very successful. So we're in service of buyers. We want to help buyers have a less stressful, more enjoyable real estate transaction. We're not a home builder, right? So we're not building houses. We don't have any hammers
Yep.
around here, so I can't create more housing stock. But gosh, in a whole bunch of areas, we believe we can take some of the stressors out. And we're starting with the mortgage process, like you pointed out, the purchase mortgage process in particular. The mortgage is what we call front office, and it should be back office. We shouldn't have to think about it. We all have the
Yeah.
same US currency as the lender, right? It's bits and bytes. No one shows up with a bag of coin that's in a different bag. It's literally transferred. We don't touch it. We don't feel it typically. Yet it is where most of the drama in the real estate transaction occurs from. It is not real estate agents. Sure, there
Yeah.
are amazing agents and just good agents or fair agents. Some of that stuff emerges from there sometimes, but you and I both know it's normally about a lousy appraisal that leads to a late decision and a poorly communicated large bank, large lender is
Yeah.
acting like the DMV. And that's this thing I keep hearing from customers.
Oh, that's a dig at a very profitable, very large industry. You're saying that the mortgage industry is operating like the DMV for all my friends that are in the U.S. The last time you were at the DMV, how was that experience? You think it's that bad, Greg?
Well, I'll broaden it. Let's not say the mortgage industry.
Yeah,
One brushstroke is a dangerous thing. There are a
sure,
bunch of great
sure.
operators, but you walk into a big bank who have half the market share of purchase
Right.
mortgages, and you've got some fine human beings that when I look at those folks in the branch, they look like they're captive in there. They look like they'd
Yeah,
like to escape. They look like they have low energy, and they look like they have very little control over the outcome of the transaction or the quality of it, because they're going to be working
yeah.
with an underwriter or a processor or a closer that they've never met before, that might be in a different city or a different country or a different state,
Mhm.
in a pool of
Yeah.
rotation. And not anonymity does not drive high quality real estate transactions, and we want to fix that.
So the PayPal of mortgage, what does that mean?
Yep. Okay. Uh, you're always finely dressed. Have you ever bought a pair of shoes from Zappos?
Sure.
Do you know what payment processor they use?
I'm guessing PayPal based upon the question.
No, you probably don't know by your answer, right?
Right. I have no idea.
Because you don't have to know, do you?
Yeah.
You put your
Yeah.
credit card in and it shows up. Do you know what shipping service they use?
No, no idea.
Do you know the head of the shipping team's name?
I have no
No.
clue. Yeah.
Uh, as PayPal is to e-com, it allows us to fall in love with the things we want to purchase and add to our lives. It's a really important enabling platform that is massively valuable, and it's freed more transactions to occur, and it's reduced the anxiety, for me certainly, about putting my credit card on the internet. The mortgage ought to be an enabling platform or technology or capability that allows us to fall in love with a home, figure out what we can afford, ensure we're capable of repaying the debt we've
Sure.
taken on, and it ought to get out of the way and get in the back. And uh, we think the outcome of improving the transaction is bringing greater technology in greater people, both trained local loan officers, partnered with world-class realtors on a better platform that's more consistent and more predictable and not bespoke. I feel like the mortgage business is like buying a bespoke jacket. This isn't bespoke, but maybe it looks like it. It's not custom. It's not. Bought it off the rack. Getting a mortgage feels like you're custom sewing the stitching every single time. It doesn't need to be. And we're going to change it. So there we go. We're going to be the no drama mortgage partner to the industry. And my rally to the team is we want to be the partner of choice to the real estate community.
That's a strong statement. So, I would immediately shift to the tens of thousands of conversations I've had with mortgage companies that have said, we want to work with, world-class agents, Tom, like your agents. What's important to them? And I'll say things like communication, close on time. Like, it's just like it almost feels like the value prop is so common sense. And yet we know a lot of that. I'm not dissing all the other mortgage companies, because you're right. There's a lot of world-class operators out there. But if for all my friends on Facebook right now, like, are you getting the communication you want? Are you getting the close on time guarantees you want? Are you getting the promises fulfilled? I think that's like the fundamental challenge. And I know why. And let's just call it for what it is. They have made so much money doing refis that purchase, right? Agents and individual buyers have become lesser of a priority. So what's the future of Tomo? You guys just going to be another refi shop? Because you clearly, Greg Schwartz, you know how to do digital marketing.
That we do. We produced a few leads at the last company.
Right.
So often when people doubt you or think you're nuts for what you're not doing, you're probably doing the right thing. So it's not what we do, it's what we choose not to do. I think that will make us really different. We will never do refis, ever.
That's
tons of profit there,
my friend. Yeah.
Tons of profit there. A bunch of great consumer direct shops made billions of dollars in this last refi cycle. We're not going to do it. We don't think you can be exceptional at both these things, because refi is like the tides. It comes and it goes, and you have little control over it. And when it washes in, when rates drop, it consumes the production capacity and ultimately the quality of very fine lenders. And maybe it's just fine that they take that profit. There's nothing wrong with that profit. No. But then they're not going to be addressing a timely, low drama, on-time close with a well-priced, well-communicated partner. And so I just don't think you can do both well. And I don't know if you last checked the purchase mortgage market. We'll see where that's at on this year's $1.5 trillion.
Yeah.
There's plenty of revenue and profit to go around. It's a highly profitable business, but we're not trying to become what we're trying to replace. And it's something we say as a rallying cry around here. Be careful not to become what you're trying to replace.
Right.
And if we try to be everything to everyone and chase the obvious profit streams, we'll just become another DMV-like waiting room. Not going to do it. Just not going to do it. So we think we can be an exceptional partner to the real estate community as the on-time, the most on-time, always on time mortgage provider. We'll also provide introductions to pre-qualified or pre-approved. Permanently, we don't do the pre-qualified nonsense. Pre-approved consumers to buyers. And we'll introduce those to a range of great agents who we think can represent those customers very, very well, and these introductions well. And then we'll keep on keeping on to add help and service wherever we can. But here it is. We won't do refis. We're going to do purchase mortgages. We're going to close on time every time.
Yeah.
Or we won't have value.
Yeah. I think, for a lot of agents out there, especially those that are so client experience oriented, that are so serve the customer at all costs, like that message resonates, because they all work with these wonderful mortgage providers that they've been battle tested and worked with for, years, maybe even decades. And then they see them vanish when the refi market hits. And it's like, I don't knock any of my friends in the mortgage space. Like, hey, if you can go from making $40,000 a month to $400,000 a month, you might want to do that. That's your job. That's your business. But it's a strong statement to the real estate community to say, we are committed to purchase business, which means agent relationships. Let's go. Like that's.
And let me tell you why. Can I tell you why?
Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
It's not just because I'm a lovely guy and, I want to do good. I want to do good. And I think it's good business. I'm a capitalist. I don't think,
No.
actually, I'll back up. The dream for this company is to build a multi-generational brand that my children and grandchildren use. Maybe it's a little crazy, and maybe it's overly ambitious, but I want this to be a multi-generational brand that we're proud of, and you're proud to partner with, and agents are proud to partner with. And if you're looking at that kind of a horizon, which is multiple generations, a quarter with a bunch more profit in it doesn't matter if it's going to degrade your long-term trust with consumers, with agents, with partners. So that's why I think we are a more valuable, more durable company if we do something big and large and important and become the best at it, period.
I love it. So I got to bring it up because a lot of people were chatting about it. You know, I've invested in a lot of different businesses. And when you see Tomo raises $70 million in a Series A, which I don't think has ever been done before. I think that may be the single largest Series A raise I've ever seen. The question is why? Why are people so ambitious about this? Why is the market so ambitious? Why are all these investors so ambitious hearing that you're like, hey, I'm not going to do refi?
Yeah. So not that I'm a competitive fella, but we like some facts. So we think it's the third largest seed round in US history, according to Crunchbase. Not that we've looked at that. So we think it's the third largest ever, and it is the largest in the real estate category ever. And it happens for a few reasons, many of which are larger than me or my co-founder, Carrie Armstrong, who's brilliant. It's three things, and a very, very savvy investor shared this when I asked him just that question. Why are you giving me your money? Why are you giving me or my teammates your money? And he said three things: TAM, total addressable market.
Yeah.
Big, massive opportunity. So big TAM. Team, that the team that we've brought together have had big successes on big public companies. We've built big public companies before. Some of us, and there's a lot of new teammates here who have done other very substantive things in their careers. So TAM, team, and then ultimately our approach, the product approach. The focus is quite a bit more than even we've shared via press, but we've launched our own loan operating system. Our own point of sale system. So the consumer experience. You shortly see us come out with our own, it'll take some time, but our own loan operating system, and the precision that we'll bring to bear is very compelling.
Yeah. Yeah. So those three things make a ton of sense. So let's talk just directly to, first of all, for all my clients that are watching this, whether you're with me live or we post this later on one of our client pages. If you want to get on their radar, that you're interested in being a part of this experience, we've got a lot of our coaching members that were very early on this. There's a gentleman there named Chris Lowe, ChrisLowe, but his email's chrisl@Tomo Networks, plural, tomonetworks.com. So for my coaching members, email Chris today and say, I want the inside scoop. Because you guys are operating right now in 2 states, is that correct?
That's correct. We're Dallas, well, two states in 3 cities live today. So Dallas, Houston, and Seattle, Washington. And you'll see us add cities reasonably quickly. Once we can, close on time every single time. Once we can bring precision, we'll scale. Until we can bring that precision, we won't. And we prove it. So there's a few unique things that tie into that. We're guaranteeing an on-time close.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Talk about that.
Yeah, so play this out. What is the most disruptive thing in a competitive market like this, where folks are in 15 offer situations, where they're competing with all cash investors? It's, if you get a day or two out of the close, you get a conditions list that is a mile long because no one looked at your appraisal or your title or whatever it may be till the day or two before the close, and you get a delayed close. The market may have appreciated 2 or 3% in the last month, and there may be backup offers. Can't do that. If your aim is to be customer centric, if your aim is to serve, which is our purpose. So here's the play. We're going to guarantee we close on time every time, as long as, there's always a caveat, but the caveats are very above board and clear, as long as the customer's got a fully underwritten pre-approval, which we think is a great thing, which is they've given us all the documentation and they've actually gone ahead and been reviewed by an actual underwriter. And so we're then guaranteeing that we will underwrite that individual up to a max, assuming the house appraises. And then we're doing some really interesting work on the appraisal side of the biz, because we know that's where things trip up quite a bit. And we're pulling a lot of that work earlier in the process, as well as a bunch of different changes. So what you'll see us do is close and get approvals earlier than anyone else in the biz. We think we will, I guess the average deal from kind of offer to close is 47 days-ish. We think we can beat that by 55%. So we think we can do things in the low 20s consistently, not just once on an emergency, but consistently. So we're going to guarantee that we close every time. And what's the guarantee, Tom? Is it a free Starbucks card if we don't close on time? No, it's not, because that wouldn't be something that's durable. That wouldn't be all about Tomo. If we're going to close late, we'll buy the house. We'll finance it. We won't buy it, pardon me. We will finance it off of our own balance sheet. We'll still close on time, and we'll just capitalize it ourselves till we get everything in order.
Love it.
And there we go.
Love it.
That's the best partner for the mortgage industry, for the real estate industry. That's what you have to do.
I agree. So Greg, I know, I can only imagine, and you and I've had multiple conversations about this, starting a company from scratch, raising a bunch of money. There's no stress involved in any of this, is there?
None.
And I say this because everybody out there watching deals with stress. So just, side note away from Tomo just for a second. What's your best advice for someone that is dealing with the stress and tension of building a business? I mean, you built multiple, billion-dollar businesses now. So what's your best advice for the person that's watching this? This is like, oh, it's easy for him. He's raised all this money. He doesn't know what my stress is like, whether it's closing a transaction or building their business. What's your best advice for somebody that wants to remove some stress?
Whether you're an individual practitioner or building something with 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, it's the same thing. It's really personal, right? It's a reflection of ourselves. You are not perfect. I let you off the hook. That is the single most important thing you can do to reduce stress. Is you got to make a mistake or two or three. Just learn from them and don't make the same mistake over and over again. Don't seek perfection. Try to find ground level truths. That is the most important things you can focus on. Focus on those things. Try to be kind to your family when you're in these stressful moments. They're what matters the most. And let yourself off the hook. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to get everything right. And it's that pride or that fear sometimes in some of us that we have of making mistakes that often brings us to our knees, brings us to our worst moments. Let yourself free. Yeah. Let yourself free. Be kind to yourself. And then try to have a little fun and not take yourself so seriously. It's going to be okay. I promise.
Yeah. Said by the guy that raised $70 million, the most in the real estate industry ever. And look, but that was very sage. I appreciate that. I know, I get asked you a lot of questions just of our relationship. So I appreciate the insight there. So Greg, as we wrap this up, I've told them they should reach out to Chris Lowe. That's CHRIS, the letter L at tomonetworks.com. Greg, should they go to the website and check it out?
Would love you to. It's got a fun URL, hellotomo.com. And I think you'll find a crisp, easy, calm experience, which you can use, which your customers can use, and find a pre-approval process. They'll get your pre-approval really in a few hours, an hour or two, and it's a real pre-approval. And if you want to get your customers underwritten, so we guarantee we will finance those folks. It takes less than a day, usually a few hours, 3-4 hours. So you'll see a modern, technically savvy approach. It's as good as any of the e-commerce experiences in our lives, but it's backed by great people that are all devoted to specific cities, that are going to get to know you, that are going to get to know your towns, that are going to get to know the unique lending environment. And they operate in a team that know their processors, they know their closers. Those closers and processors are deployed by market only. And if you want their phone numbers, we'll certainly get you the LO's phone numbers, and you'll get to know these folks, and you'll get to trust them and rely on them. And we'll close on time for you every single time. And then on every pre-approval letter, you will find my email address and Carrie Armstrong, my co-founder's email address, and we will be accessible. If anything isn't feeling right, we're there day and night. And that would be forever as well.
I love it. I remember another CEO, a guy named Elon Musk, who did the same exact thing. And that was a bold move for a lot of people at Tesla. So All right. Well, Greg, I know I've taken a bunch of your time. I wanted to get this announcement out. There's been so much positive press on Tomo. Congratulations. And I know from everybody in the Ferry ecosystem, like, we are pumped. Our agents are pumped. Our coaches are pumped. We're thrilled that we get to be the exclusive source for all these wonderful buyers coming in the marketplace, and then partnering with you to create a better experience for the consumer. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters most. Fixing that broken system. So congrats. Any closing thoughts before we wrap it up and let you go?
Sure, I have an ask if that's okay. So we have over 50 jobs in
Please.
Austin, Texas, Seattle, Washington, of course, and Stamford, Connecticut. If you've got software engineers, and in particular, if you've got great loan officers in one of those markets, if you've got processors and underwriters who want to be inspired, work with really bright people, get stock compensation, and be part of change, send them our way. We need a few more teammates.
I love it. I love it. That's a great ask, by the way, for a CEO. All right. So it looks like my Wi-Fi might have got a little wonky there, but so Greg, we're going to let you bounce. For all my friends out there watching, thank you always for being a part of this community. And I look forward to you getting to connect with Greg and the Tomo Network team. And we're all going to have a lot of fun helping a lot more customers. Greg, I'll see you soon, my friend. Thanks so much for taking the time.